Hey guys, so in my last episode we made battleships inside of Minecraft, and that kind of got me thinking, what would we need in order to make some other types of board games? Well, I thought to myself, dice would sure be important, and I've seen people make dice in Minecraft before, but the contraptions, they're usually really large and use up a lot of advanced redstone, and, with 1.5 right around the corner, we know that chances are that any of that advanced redstone that's been done is going to be broken. So it got me thinking, why don't we just use 1.5 to our advantage and make a new system that utilizes hoppers? So first I want to give credit where credit is due. This design right here is something I lifted from Hi Folks, I'm Adam on his player shop idea. And then the, although it's looks very different. It's just a slightly modified version over here of the item elevator that Alamantis fixed in a recent one of his episodes. Now, basically how this works is you walk over the pressure plate, and here let's just show. So it says Seiferus rolled the dice, and then it says 3. So that lets you know that I rolled a 3. Now the way this works is that this pressure plate is directly on top of this command block, and the command block says say at P rolled the dice. So at P obviously is the nearest player, and because I just ran over the pressure plate, it's gonna say that I was the one who did it. Now the way this works, if you haven't already figured it out, it's very easy. Is that it uses a different color wool to represent each number. Now for the sake of making it easier to remember, I decided to use the wool's item IDs to help me remember. So 35-1 would obviously be 1, and then obviously these are all 35. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all represent the dice roll. Now, this is actually utilizing the fact that dispensers and droppers shoot items out randomly. So if I go ahead and press on the pressure plate, you'll see there's a light blue one, there's a pink one. So now you can see the numbers. You got 3 and 6. Let's do it again. There you go. So it's that simple. And then you can hear the droppers sending those items back in here, and I've still got 6 full stacks of these items. All right, so now using this in the idea, let's say Monopoly, you could easily, because one of the problems I've had with the really large designs that people have made in the past is that it's not necessarily feasible on a board game, because you have to go from the spot you're on, let's say this spot, you have to go to a central area or something to click the button to activate the dice roll, and then come back to your spot and then count that many spaces forward. Otherwise, you have to set up a system that links the dice roll from each board, and it could end up taking up a lot of time. Or not necessarily take up a lot of time, but the time it takes to get your dice output using repeaters and stuff on some large boards could be less efficient. So what I've set up here is just using, simply by tiling this across, we could make like a Monopoly style board where you would run over the pressure plate, it would tell you that you rolled the dice, and then it would tell you how many spaces to go forward. So we would have 1, obviously, 2, and then we'd be off the board by now, but you get the point. Now, I also thought to myself, well, gee, people are probably going to also want to see what this would look like if you wanted a much smaller board. And this is actually where the concept of this whole idea sort of came from, was the idea that in games, I want to be able to make a board game, if I was to make more, where the dice would be rollable from any spot. You wouldn't have to move anywhere. So here I've got it set up with a button, and I would suggest on a space this small that you would use a button, possibly even on these other two, simply because if you have more than one player standing on the board, it sort of helps to differentiate, so they aren't accidentally trying to stay on the same board and stepping on the pressure plate repeatedly. So basically you just press the button, it says Seiferus rolled the dice, and then it gave me a 6. Now the way that this one works, it's a little bit different. It's just using 1, but I roll the dice and it powers this command block, and this is important because it makes sure to find the closest player. So the player that's standing right here pressing the button is the one that's going to be picked for the chat thing, and then obviously this one's doing the same thing. It just says exactly the same thing, and this one as well. And what these are doing, and I've got repeaters set up here so that they don't accidentally power more than one of the command blocks on a button push. And basically for this, you would just do every 3 would have 1 dice station. Anyway, if you guys are looking for a significantly simpler version of rolling dice, you could always just do it like this. Pushing the button. There, see I got birchwood because it kind of looks like dice. And there you go, number 4. So each time I press this, I'll get a random one. Now I've got 6. Now, obviously, the downside to doing something this simple is that when I press the button, yeah, I got 6, but I say I got 6, and I have to prove it to every other player on the board, so I can't be accused of cheating. Anyway, I thought you guys might find that interesting. And again, I'm not the most genius redstoner there is, so I'm sure that you guys can probably find a much more compact way to make this work. And I really encourage you to post suggestions in the comments and video responses so that I can see how this sort of proof of concept could be utilized. All right, I'll catch you guys next time. Take it easy.